dressed in like all white and like black eyes and was like trying to scare the away.
Yeah, there's one guy that dresses up like a little doctor.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah. And then there's the first
It was Lady in the Tramp.
It's the cool theory.
Lady in the Tramp was called.
I'm
here.
recording.
Oh, are you?
I've been recording. Look. Yay!
Yeah. Well, so like for my school, I'm doing
Watch your step.
project on the curriculum. Oh, nice. So like my group and I were doing but I mean we just did this for fun. Yeah. Because like I mean a lot of people think it's yeah.
No, don't leave.
Yeah.
Which throughout the stories, but essentially the entire town was built on, graveyards.
Yeah.
And then, we had yellow fever, we had several fires, we had, hurricanes, we had floods, we had the Revolutionary War, hurricanes. So, I mean, we just like a lot of
I'm recording a video to remind us of something.
Yeah, not of the person that is the monument.
Yeah. What?
The monument is dedicated to, so the guy who's portrayed this and then the rock that they met at, that's dedicated to the monument is dedicated to somebody related to Gordon Lowe. I always forget how he's related to her. He's either like her grandfather-in-law or father-in-law.
Yeah. Interesting. I had no idea.
We're going to gather around this little fish guy right here. Alrighty. So I will talk about the building behind us, but I first want to talk about this little guy down here. So these are called dolphin downspouts. They're modeled after a mahi-mahi fish. Now it's rumored that these were put in place to indicate that a building was secretly a brothel. However, this is a ghost story, so I'm going to talk about that if that were true. What it actually has to do with is an old superstition that says that evil spirits that bottom-dwelling fish will eat evil spirits. And since Savannah is such a superstitious town, they thought it'd be a good idea to put these everywhere, with the intention behind them being that if you ever feel like you have something evil hanging around you or following you, you can come up and take the back of your heel and rub it underneath its top lip, and then it would eat it off of you. It's also said that you can take 2 fingers and rub the very tip of its nose for a little extra boost of good luck. And a lot of the older models, even the newer ones, they look a lot nicer than the other ones. I'll show us one when we pass by one later. They're so ugly and I hate them. But their noses have kind of flattened out just a little bit from how many people have rubbed them over the years. So this building behind us, that is the old Pink House. The old Pink House was built in 1771 for Mr. James Haversham and his family. James Haversham was super integral in the planning of the city of Savannah. It's quite a few things since it was a home. It was the first federal bank of Southern Georgia. It was a general attorney's office for a little bit. It was a tea room, and then it became the restaurant and bar that it is today. If you guys do get a chance to go while you're here, the food is so good. I will give you a pro tip that lunch is easier to get into, and also cheaper. So good. So there are a couple ghosts that haunt the old Pink House. The first is a gentleman in Revolutionary War attire who's said to roam around in the basement. He is said to come up to you and ask you for like raise a glass and have a toast, such a wonderful evening. And then of course, as ghosts do, as soon as you get your hand around your glass, you will go over. Several members of the staff after closing the restaurant down late at night, have often reported hearing a woman crying from those two windows to the right of the terrace. So that room is currently known as the Purple Room. However, when it was a home, that was the master bedroom. So it's believed that it's Mrs. Habersham who's up there crying all night long. And then my favorite ghost in all of Savannah does reside here. His name is Gumbo. Gumbo is believed to be about 7 or 8 years old, and like most child ghosts here in Savannah, it's most likely that he was unfortunately a slave who died from either, yellow fever or one of the many fires that we had. But Gumbo doesn't let that get him down. He's super mischievous. He loves playing pranks on all the patrons and the staff. He's known to do things like toss minis across the room. He'll break wine glasses on the ground. He'll play target practice with a bottle of wine and the bartenders. But his favorite thing to do is he likes to lock ladies in the women's restroom. What will happen is you will go to unlock the door, and you'll sit there and you will tug on the lock for 5 or 10 minutes, and it absolutely will not budge. And as soon as you stop trying, it will slide into the unlock.
I have a 6-minute long recording. I've been recording for that. Mama, look how much time I've been recording for. Oh man. And I got that whole pink out section.
There's the front of it.
Actually kind of pretty.
Oh, it is. It's cool as shit.
Another one of those this on camera too. Getting pretty much everything that's historic on that. Everyone's sleeping. Y'all wanna watch this? Mom, I'm coming, baby. Y'all wanna watch this video when we get to the room that I'm making? Okay, catch up.
So I'm studying interior design at SCAD, but I am in an anthropology class, and we're doing like a research project on basically anything, and then I came up with the idea of something that correlates with Savannah in general, and I thought about the thermal activity. Class research on yeah. I also heard like parks
That'd be fun.
and then New Orleans.
Actually,
Yeah. I think that's Savannah. Yeah. I thought that I like before tonight I always thought that Charleston was more fun.
I'm taking a 9-minute long call. I don't want to, you know?
Go some stuff.
Wait. If I can. You're home. We'll go get those ones. Just keep recording. And recording. And recording.
Yup. He's like, I have to put my tech. They won't lock me out of the SCAD dorms because like.
Trevor,
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm like learning new things about SCAD that I didn't even know.
Yeah, so far.
Things. I just don't see a tune. Thing.
No, not all of them have to.
Still. You say so. I'm trying to read.
I can vouch for that. It's a lot of pressure.
My ex-fiance was Spanish.
Oh my, yeah.
I remember his very first day, very first semester, freshman year. His what I'm sure this was in Atlanta. Gave him like yeah, like actually good.
Yeah. It was.
Alrighty, you guys. Welcome to Owens Thomas House. Owens Thomas House was built in 1819 by a British architect named William Jay. Fun fact, this is one of the first homes in the United States to have indoor plumbing. It had it even before the White House, which I think is pretty cool. Owens Thomas House was purchased in 1830 by a man named George D. Owens, who eventually went on to become the mayor of Savannah. He died in 1856 and then passed the home along to his granddaughter, Margaret Thomas. And then when she died, she gave the home to the Telfair Museums, which is who it's run under today. So Margaret was born in the bedroom that this veranda right here is attached to, and she died in the very same bed that she was born in. So I think she figured if she spent her entire life here, she might as well spend her entire afterlife here as well. She has been seen a couple times inside the home, sometimes in the parlor room, mainly in the bedroom if she is in there. But her favorite place to hang out is actually right here in this garden. So Margaret's ghost is known as the Lady in Gray. She's always seen wearing a large hat and a gray shawl. She doesn't really do anything, spooky, scary. She just kind of roams through, tends to the flowers. She's just still checking in on everything. And actually, people who have stayed at this hotel across the street, that's the president's quarters, you'll call Owens Thomas House during the day, and they'll be like, hey, I saw a lady strolling through the garden at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to make sure you knew. And they're like, oh, yep, that's Margaret. That's the owner. That's what they'll tell them. So I think that's pretty interesting. Now, is anybody here aware of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil?
A little bit.
I was told to watch a movie about it.
Yeah.
I almost bought the book today.
So, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is a movie that is based on a book that is based on true events that happened right here in Savannah. And it follows a man named Jim Williams, who may or may not have committed murder. I won't spoil it for you. But in 1960, he actually rented out the front room of Owens Thomas House to have a business meeting with his business partner and his friend. Jim was sat here in a chair, his business partner to the right of him, and then his friend across from them on the sofa. And they were in very deep conversation, going back and forth, sharing drinks, before Jim noticed a strange figure that appeared in the corner of the room. He said that it looked like a man who was wearing a riding coat, riding boots, and carrying a riding crop in his hand. And he said that the man paced back and forth for about 10 minutes or so as if he were waiting for somebody's arrival before promptly charging through the sofa and standing directly over Jim. Jim said that the ghost was so close to him that he could see the piercing blue color of his eyes, and he even watched sweat droplets forming on his brow. And then, of course, just like that, the ghost vanished and Jim Williams vanished as well. He left the home immediately and never returned to Owens Thomas House after that incident.
Wow.
Yeah. Pictures.
Yeah.
I was told to watch that movie right before I came home.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know if he's in it, but I'm pretty sure it's directed by Clint Eastwood, if I'm not mistaken. Which is pretty cool. And then there's somebody else big in it, but I don't remember
What was
who.
the Kuzaks?
Yes. I think so, yeah.
So he got so freaked out by the ghost that he saw that he never came back.
Yeah, he was like, I don't want to deal with any of that ever again.
Did he think that it was a real person?
I think at first he thought this was a Me? Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, you got something. What? Yeah.
It just what?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Video.
That's so exciting. I've never seen it like happen like live like that before. Normally it's like it shows up after you take the picture.
I have a video.
But that's so cool.
I can take it on
I got
video.
some good orbs last time I was here.
Really? So orbs will basically an orb is just like a little ball of energy. But there's different colors of them and they follow like basic kind of color association theory. So like a blue one, which is what you got, is a very calming spirit. Yellow is typically a bit more energetic. And then red is something that we don't want to see. So if anybody gets a red orb, oh my god, we're gonna run so fast.
Oh no.
I'm gonna take us just across the street, and I have a special visitor for us at our next stop.
Don't want to see no red one then. Because I do not run very
I
fast.
want to go there.
No. We don't want to mess with those demons.
Stage right back at
Hopefully.
Oh, I know I do.
And I'm, Mama, 16 minutes recording of all of that.
That was
I had to continuously watch my back. I really did. I really actually did. I mean, I'm not scared of ghosts, but I know that.
I'm a stage hunter.
I mean, I'm scared of ghosts, but I'm not scared of ghosts.
I think they feed off of fear. So your best fear, I'm not scared, I can finish.
Yeah, I'm not scared.
That's attitude you have.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome to 1790 Inn. It is this building right behind me, actually. And we can all see this lovely lady up in the window. She is our visitor. That is Miss Anna, and she is the star of our story here. Despite its name, 1790 Inn was actually constructed between the years 1821 and 1823, and Anna is one of the people who lived here. She was a servant for the home, and she was engaged to a man named Steele White, and he was the gentleman who had paid for her passageway to the United States when she immigrated from Scotland. Now, she was engaged to him, but it was more out of feeling like she owed him and that she was indebted to him. She did not actually love him. She was in love with a German sailor. And whenever he was home from his journeys, she would sneak off in the middle of the night to go visit him, and they would be all in love and girly and happy together. And then she would come back to her fiance and pretend like none of it ever happened. One of the times that she went to go visit him, he never showed up, and she never saw him again. Actually, she never figured out if he had just, if he had gotten lost at sea, if he had just decided that he didn't want to come back, or if this, that, or the other happened. She never understood. But nevertheless, she was completely distraught over the loss of the man that she loved. And Steele White was kind of a jerk, but he was not an idiot. And he could see that she was pining for another man, which fully enraged him. One evening, it's unclear whether she had jumped on her own accord or if she was given a little assistance, but Anna actually fell from a third-story window just around the corner to her death in the courtyard. Now, 1790 Inn is currently an inn as well as a restaurant and bar, and you can stay in Anna's room. Where Anna is now, the lit up window that is to the left of it, you can see the doorway to her room. Her room number is room 204.
Oh my god.
And then all the windows that follow are inside of her bedroom. Now you can stay there, however, it is not typically recommended to couples. The men who have stayed in her room are absolutely fine. They will experience things like a soft hand brushing against their cheek, fingers combing through their hair, and some have even awoken to an apparition of Anna sitting in the corner of the room just staring at them. It is the women that she's got a big fat problem with. She is jealous. Most of the women who've stayed here have experienced things like their jewelry going missing, lingerie going missing, their suitcases being unpacked and thrown around the room. She'll pull the covers off of them while they're sleeping, and she's even gone as far as to kick some of them out of bed in the middle of the night, which causes them to hit their head on the corner of the nightstand. No, in the movie, the last song was being filmed on Tybee Island. Miley Cyrus and her mother actually stayed here in room 204. And after a long day of filming, Miley came back to her hotel room to find her boots, which she had originally left inside of her luggage, taken out, placed nice and neatly on top of the suitcase. There was a cute little handprint over the toes. Miley posted the picture to Instagram, and she said, I think she captioned it something along the lines of "Look what Anna did," and she received an influx of messages from people who wanted to share the experience that they've had with staying in room 204. And then also something that I think is pretty interesting about a lot of the hotels around here that have more of a haunted history behind them. Whenever you check in, they will make you sign a waiver that essentially says that if you get scared in the middle of the night, you can't take it anymore, you want to leave, you 100% will not be getting a refund. So I think that's pretty interesting. 1790 Inn is one of them. I believe Hamilton Turner Inn is one, which is a stop that we have a little bit later on our tour. I know Marshall House is one of them, so it's just pretty cool that they have to do that. I think it's really fun.
I did not know the last song was
That
filmed
is
on
weird.
Tybee.
I
That
didn't
is
know
weird,
either
though.
until I took this tour. I mean, I knew obviously that it was like done at some kind of beach.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a little weird that she's just staring at us?
I need to like rewatch that part.
How do you know? I doubt that's a dummy. I got a whole video on it. That will never happen. I like this storm better than the trolley. My legs aren't even hurting.
How you gonna do it if you really don't want to dance? By standing on the wall. Get your back up, boy. I heard all the people say, get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it.
Or you can keep going.
You're gonna do it if you really don't want to dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
By standing on the wall. Get your black ass. I heard all the people say,
Get down on it. Get down on it.
get down on it.
I think it goes scramble my cube.
I said, people, huh? What you gonna do?
This was solved, and now it's scrambled. It's not scrambled.
That was solved.
Tell me, baby.
Y'all got lucky tonight.
Gotta be recorded.
The only ghost experience I've ever had was I actually used to work at the Pink House, and Gumbo locked me in the bathroom while I was on shift, which was really fun to try and
How long were you in
explain.
there?
Just about like 5-10 minutes.
That's
something in
a
there.
long time.
Well, yeah, it's a long time when you're working. You have tables.
Don't I wanna
The
go
manager's
backwards?
looking for you, and he's like, "Where the hell were you?" And I'm like, "I don't know. The lock just moved itself." And he's like, "Go get somebody water or something." I'm like, "Okay."
I've been dealing with stuff like this since I was way younger than him.
Really? I mean, it's definitely some people. I think a sixth sense is very real. Like there's people who I feel have more of a tendency to attract that. I don't know if it's like a comforting thing. It's like a comforting energy that a person has.
We went to Zach Vegas
I was getting ready to mention.
Haunted Museum in August, and her phone. You had to turn off. You got to turn your phone off. They don't want you taking pictures of anything. But when hers came back out, it was a screen I've never seen
It was like a
before.
weird
She had to
computer
reset.
screen, like
Like
I
the
don't
one,
know,
like the ones and zeros.
it's just like
No, it wasn't even that. It was like a
an old
boot up
computer
screen.
screen
It was
with a, like
never
little numbers
seen
at the top.
That's so
It was
interesting.
so strange. It took that
before. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Ooh, it's hot in there. You been in there before?
I have not.
No AC. Hot. At the museum. Well, some of the rooms didn't have AC. You walk in there and you're like, can we get out of this room because it's 110 degrees in here?
People,
Yeah.
5 people sitting in a room, and it's like this space right here. You know,
That's crazy.
get hot real fast, especially in the bottom.
All right, you guys, we're gonna head this way.
I really want to solve this, but I think a ghost all scrambled it.
Any pocket piece on it.
Oh, he is still going. No. Be careful right here because it drops down and also narrows a little bit. And then this right here is what the older models of the dolphin downspouts look like.
Oh,
So, pretty ugly.
Those are cute though. I don't like the way they look. The new ones are nice.
I remember this place. I very much remember this. I remember this cemetery. It's like where I scraped my knee, like right here. So when I scraped my knee up here.
I think it's
No, it's the same place. I can remember. No, I remember it. I remember it being about a year.
And then I moved back to North Carolina for about a year, and then I moved here and I've been here.
I've been here.
Alrighty, you guys, welcome to Colonial Park Cemetery. Colonial Park Cemetery is one of the oldest cemeteries that we have here in Savannah, opening its gates in 1750. And it's also home to over 8,000 bodies. Now, I know that we can look in there and think it looks a little sparse to have 8,000 people in there, but there are a couple reasons behind that. One being these giant big structures that you see here. There's one there. They're absolutely everywhere. So those are called mausoleums or vaults, and those would hold several members of a family, usually about 4 to 6. And then there's also a rumor of some mass graves in here that has not been proven or disproven. And then on top of that, during the Revolutionary War, people from the opposing side would often hide out in here and just kind of deface everything.
I've been here.
You've been here?
Yeah, and I scraped my knee right down there. No joke, I actually.
Thing. So they would do things like change the headstones to say that somebody lived to be 170 years old. I mean, is it possible now? It definitely wasn't possible in the 17th. They would, keep the headstones
There
down.
is moss everywhere. This stuff is everywhere.
Now, a lot of the people who are buried here are victims of something called yellow fever. Yellow fever was a pandemic that ran rampant through the streets of Savannah. You guys imagine something like that happening nowadays? Oh my God. It's
Like
insane.
COVID.
So yellow fever was originally thought to be an airborne disease, much like COVID was. But it was actually later discovered that it was spread by infected mosquito bites, more like malaria or Zika virus. What would happen is you would start out with some very mild symptoms, definitely a fever, maybe a little bit of a headache. You would very quickly take a turn for the worse. Your skin would start to swell up and then jaundice, which is what gave it its name, yellow fever. And then you would also start to vomit up a bunch of nasty black gunk, which is what everybody wants to do. So fun. Before either slipping into a coma or dying, at which point your loved ones would say to the guys, they would put you out on the front stoop of the home. They would wait for the death wagon to come and collect you, and then they would bring all the bodies out here to Colonial Park and bury them. As I did mention, though, a possibility was that you could fall into a coma, but medical technology was so not advanced back then, and your heart rate would slow down so much that a pulse would become completely unrecognizable. And this proved to be an issue once they found some scratch marks on insides of some of the capacitors.
No, that's weird.
So they were buried alive, literally. They were burying several people alive. It was a very big issue. So they had to quickly think of a solution. So what they decided to do was they hired somebody to sit in the cemetery overnight and just watch over all the graves. This created the term graveyard shift. And then before they would bury you, they would tie one end of a string around your big toe. They would sit you down in your plot. They wouldn't seal it up they wouldn't fill it up with dirt just yet. They would just take the other end of the string and tie it around a bell that they had sat just outside. That way, when you woke up, if you did, you would start kicking and screaming, pull the string, ring the bell, and alert whoever was out here to come and collect you. Does anyone want to guess the two terms that came, or the two phrases that came from the bells process?
Ring the bell or something.
So dead ringer is one of them, and then the other one is saved by the bell.
Saved by the Bell. I've heard that one before.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. You know, YouTube videos.
So if we can all see this lit up white pavilion behind me, that was the dueling grounds of the cemetery. So in the 1700s, if two men had an issue with each other, they would just come out here, shoot each other, and it was problem solved. Also, they were in a cemetery, so you didn't have to go far. So in 1777, Button Gwinnett, if that name sounds familiar to anybody, it's because he's one of the three signers of the Declaration of Independence from Georgia.
Yep, I know.
He's also who Gwinnett County in Atlanta is named after, and then we have a Gwinnett Street here named after him as well. So he became
There is
commander-in-chief of
red
Georgia's
bugs
military,
and
which made him directly
infestations
superior
here.
to his rival at the time. His name was Lachlan McIntosh. Now the two of them already had a lot of issues with each other because Gwinnett had McIntosh's brother arrested and charged. He really took off after the invasion of Eastern Florida, which was a mission that ultimately failed miserably. Gwinnett felt like
I know one thing that
McIntosh
Arnold
had
tried to.
Gwinnett felt that McIntosh had failed the mission on purpose to make him look bad, and McIntosh felt that Gwinnett had set him up on a mission that he knew that he could never win to make him look bad. So in May of 1777, Button Gwinnett challenged McIntosh to a duel. They both came right up here, they stood back to back, took 12 paces, turned around, bam, shot each other. McIntosh did survive the duel, however, Button Gwinnett suffered too much blood loss from his wounds, and so he was buried here in Colonial Park. I do have a ghost story for us here. I want to talk about a boy named Rene Rondalia. Rene Rondalia was a 15-year-old boy who stood at 7 feet tall and 350 pounds. Not only was he that big at 15, he was pretty much equally as large when he was born, because brace yourselves ladies, he was a 13-pound baby. Because he was a 13-pound baby, and again, medical technology not as advanced, his mother did end up passing away after giving birth. So Rene was adopted by two French immigrants. They did not speak any English, so Rene did not learn any English. He was also believed to have something very similar to, if not exactly, autism, which was something that was looked at a lot differently back then. And then again, he's 7 feet tall and 350 pounds. People thought of him as Frankenstein. They were absolutely horrified of him. And if we were to see him coming on the other end of the street, we would run to the other side just to avoid any kind of interaction with him. So obviously Rene did not have very many friends, none at all. So he spent most of his time here in Colonial Park. Now, he was a real softy at heart and he loved animals. However, he did not recognize his own strength, so when he would pick them up to cuddle them, he would completely crush their necks. There was one evening where he was seen leaving from the north gate of the cemetery, which we'll pass by in a little bit. And then a couple hours later, there was a patrolman who was walking the grounds, and he found the body of a young girl whose neck had been completely crushed. They assumed that was Rene's MO, so they assembled an angry mob and they headed back down to his home, or they headed to his home with the intention of lynching him. Now, when they got there, his parents begged and pleaded. They said, "Please, you can't take him. There's no way this was him. He wouldn't hurt a fly." And they weren't able to deter the mob. At which point, they started building a giant brick wall around his home. But they were unfortunately not fast enough, because just 48 hours later, they found the body of a second victim in the cemetery whose neck had been completely crushed. They gathered the angry mob once more. They headed back down to his home, and this time they were not leaving without him. When they got there, his parents begged and pleaded. They said, please, there's no way this was him. He hasn't left the home in days. You can't take him. But they did not listen. They stormed inside the home. They grabbed Renee and took him down to the Eastern Wharves, where they lynched him at just 15 years old. Now, his parents wanted to have him buried here in Colonial Park because this is his favorite place on earth. However, he was a known murderer, so it was not allowed.
That is so crazy.
But they were able to, they buried him on the eastern end of the river, and they were able to give him a very nice vault that they visited quite often. However, the last time that they visited it, the vault room was found open and his body was no longer inside. Then about 3 weeks after that incident, they found the body of a third victim in the cemetery whose neck had been completely crushed. Some believe that it was the real murderer striking again, and others believe that it was Renee's ghost acting out of vengeance. Now, Renee is what's known as a poltergeist. Poltergeist is German for angry spirit. If we were to capture him on film, he would be a red orb, so he is not our friend, unfortunately. Rightfully so, very wrongful death. But before the cemetery started closing in the evenings, people who would wander through here at night would often hear like a very deep guttural growling sound and heavy footsteps rushing up behind them, but they would turn around to find nobody there. Yeah, not a good one, not a happy one.
Boat, cargo ship, cargo ship. Dude, I got most of this on video.
Did you?
I have 36-minute long video.
Oh my gosh. If you post this anywhere and you get money from it, you better give me credit.
Okay.
I want some royalties.
I know that's right.
Let's go. Dude, I'm gonna keep my eye out for red orbs. I don't really want that. I really don't want no red orb. I really don't want that because I cannot run very fast. Besides, she didn't even tell us how fast this guy was. I can guarantee you not that fast though. Dude, that's everywhere. No red orb, please. I'm gonna be scared. Not. Dude, this is cool though. I love this. I like spooky, scary stuff. Spooky. I hope there's not a red orb in that, because then I would not have seen it. Dude, that is scary. Not. It's actually kind of funny. Us three think it's scary. None of us. You think it's scary?
I'm going to talk about why this portion of our walk around the cemetery is going to be a little bit longer than the rest of it. It has to do with the fact that the original name of the cemetery was actually Old Brick Wall Cemetery, which I know sounds contradictory to this iron gate right here behind me. However, the original wall of the cemetery was a giant brick wall, and it extended about a quarter of the way out into the street over there. Which means exactly what you might think it means. The original perimeter of the cemetery extended out a lot further, so they buried out a lot further. We are currently standing on dead bodies. That does contribute to why it does not look like there are 8,000 people in there. And over time, as the bodies have started to decay and break down, the wood from their casket has started to rot and break. The bricks have decided to sink in along with it. So every time you come across a stick in the ground, that is another dead body.
I literally see everywhere. That is weird though, that we're walking on dead bodies. Kind of creepy. But look at all these incarved bricks. Yo, look at the floor. These bricks carved into the wood. I think these molds are what's on the wood or something. Or just a special type of brick. Y'all, I'm watching out for red orbs. That's what I'm doing. That's why I keep my phone on the cemetery. And if I'm gonna see one, I'm gonna yell it. Red orb, run. Nothing important. There's moss everywhere. Like everywhere. And what does this do again? Yeah.
It's red bugs.
What do red bugs do?
Red bugs.
Just don't want to put it over.
They triggers what? Triggers what, Mama?
Chiggers. That's the name of it.
What's
Red bugs
chiggers?
are chiggers.
What do triggers do?
Chiggers are bugs that get under your skin and then they make you itch.
Too much.
They bite you.
People. Dude, I like this so much. It's not even scary. Red dot, red dot, red dot.
If it's nice, I'll come back out of here tomorrow.
No, please. Oh, just no.
But I like cemetery.
I kind of do too,
I mean, I really do.
but dude, I love it so
You love the store.
much. The tour.
Oh.
I think it's just so scary. Not. That ain't scary at all. Wonder where we're next time. And how long did you say this was, Shannon? Oh, we're nowhere near. It's only 40 minutes. We're nowhere even near the end. Right? Not. We pretty much are.
Right down there in that little playground's where that homeless man's here.
Huh?
Right down there. In that swing set right down there. Playground, whatever.
Yeah, well, I guarantee I'm still there.
You think he's still there?
Dude. Now my legs are starting to hurt like a teensy bit, but not a lot. I wish I had my flashlight, but I don't. Because I can't turn it off without stopping my video. And I don't want to stop it. I'm going to get this whole tour on video. Y'all want to watch this when we get back to the room?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Not very good, but
Season, we're only doing
watch the street.
30 people, so I want to hit 30, hit 35 people tonight. I just hit 40 but I guess so. I don't know why it is like 30, but they were like, that's good.
I like it.